Today, yes, the temperatures are getting cold, but it's not as cold as the market for Pete Alonso. Yeah, a pair of reports are saying that Polar Pete may be left out in the cold. Plus, we have an update of Roki Sasaki. Yeah, we're going to break that all down on this edition of Mets Digest. What is going on, everybody? Flobo Boyce here with you. One half of the Mets Digest team. Love the team, lifelong fan. You know me, I root for my childhood hero, Benny Agbayani. And I got to thank you for making this part of your Mets content diet. Myself, alongside Mike D'Angelo, work tirelessly to make sure you have the news and notes you need. So do us a favor, if you like the content, if you like the videos we're posting, like the video, subscribe to the channel, tell a friend about everything. Now, before we get into our top stories today, there is something I wanted to talk to you about. We're a couple days removed from the Clay Holmes press conference, and I say press conference because it really wasn't a big deal. Like the Soto thing was more like a Zoom call, and I haven't got a chance to ask you what you thought about it. So please let me know in the comments below. How do you feel about Clay Holmes going over to the main rotation? Where would you slot him in if you're the GM and assuming he clears spring training? I really want to see your opinions because I'm excited. I'm excited. And if you haven't had a chance, check out the full press conference. It's about 20 minutes or so. Both the Mets and the SNY video to YouTube channels have it in its entirety. Welcome aboard to Queens. But speaking of pitchers, one of the craziest sweepstakes that I've ever heard, and it's only crazy based on the fact that someone so good is going through the international pool, is Roki Sasaki, and teams have been meeting him a couple days this week. And we got some confirmation over there from Andy Martino, who really covers the Mets and the Yankees, but covers the Mets in this case, and that the team has had some time to check in with Roki Sasaki and his team to see about the possibility of pitching in Queens. Of course, every team can use him. I think we can definitely get a starter or two. It looks like the team is going for more measured pickups. Shout out to Mike D'Angelo outlining some of those pickups over the last couple of videos. But yeah, having one big splash name is something that really to instill some of the confidence of more of the casual fans. Because let's be honest, David Stearns isn't doing anything wrong or bad. It's just, nothing really sexy. Nothing really like, oh yeah, we got the guy. Now maybe I'm a bit spoiled because we signed Juan Soto last week. But I'm just putting it out there. Here's an opportunity to really do something on the pitching side of things. Something that I think everyone across the board knows the team can improve on. That said, though, there's only one person I want back, and that is my tribal chief, Sean Manaea. But maybe I'm just kind of beating a dead horse there. Let's talk about Pete Alonso. First baseman incumbent to the New York Mets squad. Someone we need for the bats coming off a season and a half of a down period. We don't really have a confirmation of where he's going to sign, but everyone has their theories. But there was a pair of reports that came out almost in succession over the last couple of days. It doesn't really paint a rosy picture for Pete and what he wants to do in 2025. We know there's, at free agency, there's a desire to get some stability in years. There's some desire to get that bag, as the kids say. But what it looks like is the market is chilling. I almost said chilling. It's chilling and cooling for Pete Alonso. In fact, Jeff Passan actually came out with this about 2 days ago, talking about why it has been not as hot as we thought it would be. And even though there are a lot of free agents still in the pool, he considers Pete Alonso a lower tier high free agent. Jeff Passan writes, on one hand, Alonso's consistent production. He plays all the time, actually one of the more durable players of New York Mets, played every single game last season, has averaged 42 home runs and 110 ribbies in his 5 full big league seasons. I mean, that's legend status, and would fit in the heart of the batting order of every team in baseball. Is unimpeachable. But on the other, his profile frightens teams. A 30-year-old right-handed hitting and throwing first baseman. Teams are hesitant to give him a long-term deal. I'm not going to say the position is made for journeymen, but yes, there is a lot of options out there, and even some creative options. The fact we have one, the one that's being kicked around is what you do with Mark Vientos. We're talking about the whole Mark Vientos thing of shifting him over the first in quite a second, but I want to focus on Pete right now. So knowing that teams are hesitant, mean there's some teams are more hesitant than others. You know, you're not going to have a giant bidding war. You're not going to have one team using leverage. You're not going to have a team willing to overpay and overspend like they did in years past. Like, ironically, like the 90s Yankees, if I can ever be so bold. But then, just about today, as I record this, MLB.com's Mark Feinstein had his other situation, other aspect of what's going on with the Pete sweepstakes. Can you call it sweepstakes if not a lot of buyers? Saying that it's a possibility that we won't even have a decision in 2024. Mark writes, with Christian Walker, Paul Goldschmidt, and Carlos Santana also available in the free agent market and would-be trade candidates, including Nathaniel Lowe, Josh Naylor, who's been tied to the Yankees, and Yandy Diaz potentially in play. There are a number of options for teams to consider that should be attainable for the 30-year-old, though he may have to wait until January or February to secure such a deal given the wealth of options at his position. In other words, you have a team like the Mets who are all about giving pitchers short-term deals and prove-it deals and just trying to slot the rotation around them. A lot more teams right now doing that with that first base position. Power and home runs is important. I mean, it gets people to come and buy a ticket, but there's other ways to score. And so it kind of makes you wonder, do you really want someone who isn't the greatest or fastest player in Pete? Because, I mean, he's not the most graceful runner, and someone who's coming off a down year. And, of course, the air quotes have to be fully up because a down year for Pete's a pretty dang year for me. In fact, my character in MLB The Show isn't as productive as Pete Alonso. But I say this, if the idea happens where Pete does not work out, and we decide to do the plan B, the one you've heard about, where you move Mark Vientos over the first, that leaves third base open, and that becomes a race. Iglesias is not signed, but he will be an option. Ronnie Mauricio is coming off an injury. And, well, we do love Brett Baty, but Brett Baty struggled offensively. But here's something about Brett Baty that came across my desk today. Mark Gallegos, who covers the no city named Athletics, actually had something on their website about third base options. You see, the Athletics are a team that's willing to spend. They have to spend, if you've been following that story, because they have to put their payroll to a certain threshold to avoid a grievance from the Players Association. And Martin named Brett Baty by name. Not a confirmation, not a it's going to happen. There's no trade imminent situation, despite the fact that people would kind of take that and go and take it and run with it. But the fact that Brett Baty is named to one be moved and one that can fit in a current Athletics lineup is something I thought would be kind of interesting to share with you today. See, Martin writes, it was only a couple of years ago that Baty ranked as one of the top prospects in all of baseball. However, with the emergence of Mark Vientos as the impact player for the Mets, Baty is seemingly blocked at the major league level. The 25-year-old third baseman spent the majority of his time last season at AAA Syracuse, where he had 252 with an 853 OPS, 16 home runs, 10 doubles, 45 ribbies in 62 games. Again, solid numbers for him, but he's not going to be an impact player in a team like the Mets, where they need to win right now. With 169 major league games under his belt over the past 3 seasons, Baty falls into that category for players still looking for a real chance to prove himself, and the A's could provide that opportunity. Full article is at athletics.com. Again, not saying it's going to be, I'm not trying to stir the pot, not saying Brady's being signed tomorrow, pack your stuff up, you're going over to Sacramento. But the idea is, well, if we decide to move on from Pete Alonso, that third base hole might be a bigger problem, especially if Mark Vientos has found his way to be comfortable with that position. It kind of leans into us retaining Pete. Yes, it might be an overpay. Yes, it might be too many years, but here is somebody you just can't let walk through the door, even though to find the right terms may take 2 or up to 3 months from now, or I should say 1.5 to 2 months from now, according to reports. But what say you? We all know those who want Pete want him back, those who want to walk him want him back, but what do you say you about this? That many teams are afraid of the profile of Pete Alonso. Is that a positive or negative for the team? And what's the deal? What is the deal of waiting till February of finding out what's going on with Pete Alonso? Of course, and the Clay Holmes thing. I really want to know what you think about Clay Holmes slotting in the rotation. We haven't really talked about Clay Holmes this week, but I'm really curious what you think about that. Listen, you reached the end of the video. Thank you so much. This has been a crazy first couple of months here for the Mets Digest channel and team, and be able to grow with you and read your comments, the positive, the negative ones, the DMs, the hey bruh quit, and the hey keep goings. It means the world to me. We're just a bunch of fans who love the orange and blue, man. There's nothing more than that. We're not trying to take over the world. We're not trying to spread any negativity. We just love our squad so much. That does it for me. You know the deal. As always, it's LGM to the bitter end.